Many things had changed for the CHR in the last year. The railway system expanded to service more towns and cities along the route. The popularity of the railway had also grown to new heights. People would come from far and wide to see these beasts of machines operating on a daily basis as they did decades ago. Along with the new expansion came new projects for Mr. Little and the team to tackle. One of these projects was the military contract. The job was to help transport old war relics from the west and bring new modern technology out east. This was a big job that only the strongest engines could handle due to the size of the trains involved. Mr. Little put Jason and Sterling on the job because he knew they could handle it.
Another day, another train.
Well, at least it's not dirty work.
When did you start caring about your paintwork so much, you wuss?
Well, I'll have you know that I've always tried to keep up a higher image for myself compared to the rest of you lowlifes.
You're lucky I don't push you off a cliff.
I mean no offense, but I'm just of a higher caliber than most of the traction that can be found around here.
You might as well not have added the no offense part, you prick.
Call me all these names, but you still put up with me. Huh, curious.
Well, you got me there.
Alright, you two, get a move on. We're not making any money with you sitting here. Money this, money that. Let's not pretend we don't have enough of it. Money is what puts oil and water in that fat tender of yours. Oh, don't you start, Mr. B Unit.
Hey,
Settle down, you two. You have other jobs to do after these, so get a move on. Yes, sir. In the meantime, Mr. Little was running out of ideas. The military contract was very lucrative, and he didn't want to give that up, but at the same time, he didn't have enough engines to fulfill his roster. Normal trains, such as local freights and passengers, were being delayed heavily because of the tied-up engines. Another problem he had was the fact that his contract with Union Pacific was running out for their shunter. Because of the busy season, Union Pacific needed all the engines they could muster. Well, for the first time in a long time, I have no idea what I should do. I need engines, but there are none at the moment. What do I do? What do I do? Sir, is there something I can help you with? Unless you have 4 steam locomotives running around that I can use for my railway, then no, you can't help. Well, I don't have 4, but I have 2. Would that be enough to suit your needs? What? Is this some kind of cruel joke? Who are you? Oh, how rude of me. My name is Mr. Rutger. I am the owner of the once proud East Ferrydown Railway. East Ferrydown? I think I've heard of that. Steam short line in the 60s, right? Why, yes, that was my line. We went bankrupt in the 70s due to changes in the economy. That's sad to hear. But how did you end up here, finding us? Oh, I found out about you in the newspapers and the trains magazines. You're all quite famous. Oh, really? Articles on us? You don't say. I'll have to take a look at that later, but for now, let's talk about these engines of yours. Well, that's actually quite a sad story. It all started in the 60s. Just about when you started your railway, mine was running just fine. We had acquired motive power from the U.S. Army to run our small trains over our even smaller line. My engines loved it there, and we were all happy. Sad times came a-knocking at our door, however. Coal prices shot up like there was no tomorrow, times hit us hard. Nobody wanted to see the steam engines who had just been replaced. When the time came, we had to shut our doors and rip up a rail. When the board met for the very last time, I asked if I could have the 2 locomotives. They approved, and I've kept them ever since. I came down here for a week-long visit to see how you run things around here. You see, I'm not getting any younger, and I need to finally find a home for my engines. Well, let's start with where are they? They're in a shed out in Virginia, just rotting away. Virginia, you say? I have contacts there that can bring them over, but first I need to know what condition these guys are in. They're both not looking too good. I wish I could say better, mind you. It's not terrible. We kept them away from the elements the best we could, but you know how time and neglected metal don't mix. Alright, well, I don't know, we have a fully functioning steam repair shop, but from the sounds of your engines, they're quite small, am I right? They're smaller than the power you guys have got here, but they sure do have character, and they love to work. Give them any load, and I'm sure they can handle it. Please, Mr. Little, I'm begging you from the bottom of my heart. Please take my engines in and give them a good home. Alright, I'll do it. I love steam, and the mission of this railway is to bring steam back to life, working on modern-day trains again. I'll have to make a call, but I'm sure I can get some help with this. Oh, thank you, Mr. Little. You really are a blessing to me. Hello, sir. A blessing? What did you do for this guy? No time to explain. Go get to work, and I'll fill you in later. I have a call to make. Mr. Little then implemented a plan to get the 2 new locomotives to his shop in Laramie. His first task was to call his good friend Mr. Joe to see if he could help. Mr. Joe's running season had been on hold for the past week due to a mudslide, and all his engines were held up on the line. However, being in Virginia already, they were the perfect engines to help with the massive project. Joe, I need to redeem that favor you promised me some months back. I need you to send at least one of your locomotives to a small shed outside Lovettsville to pick up 2 new additions to my fleet. They're already loaded up on flat cars and ready to move. They just need engines to help them get where they need to go. Alright, I can get a unit out there by Friday at earliest. Will that suit your needs? Oh yes it will, thanks. Also, I need you to send one of your most careful engines to help, because it's very precious cargo. Well, I would send Corey, but the poor engine is currently on his side covered in many, many tons of mud. I'll send Marshall instead. He'll do a fine job. Marshall, I have a special job for you.
Never for me, sir?
Ben, I would, but last time you had a special train, you almost toppled over the gorge.
Who was it that said almost doesn't count on the railroad?
The last idiot to start a near-fatal accident, that's who. Now, Marshall, I need you to go to Lovettsville and pick up a special load for Mr. Little. For Mr. Little? I would do anything for that man. He treats his engine so well. Good to hear it. Now, get a move on before we run out of daylight. As for you, Ben,
oh boy, I get to do something special and cool?
Well, if you call helping dig Corey out of that huge mud pile, then yes, you are doing a really cool job.
Damn it.
The trek to Lovettsville didn't take long for Marshall to complete. When he got there, he was astonished at what he had found. Well, you don't see that every day. On the train Marshall was to take were 2 engines, as old and dirty as can be. Along with them were their tenders and a few boxcars of parts. All of this? On my own? Why? After much complaining and swearing, Marshall was hooked to the train and he started his journey. On his way over to the CHR, Marshall had to cross into UP territory. He was met with astonished looks from other engines because it was very different to see a black engine on a railroad full of yellow ones. When Marshall was passing through a yard, he was stopped by the yardmaster there. Hello. What's this then? A Norfolk Southern engine hauling war relics? I'm bound for the Shine Hills Railway with this special cargo. So, you're the famous special everyone's been talking about, huh? But what are they going to do with that load of rusted scrap?
Rusted scrap is right. Yuck, steam locomotives.
It may look like scrap to some, but with the amazing effort the men and women of that railway put forth, these two babies will be looking as good as the day they came out of the shops. Well, you have fun with that. You're flagged through all the way to their trackage, so get a move on if you please. Right away.
Where's your loyalty to your own kind?
Sorry, can't stop.
Traitor!